Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you and your household. We welcome you to Fragrance.
This is the show where we spread the beauty of Islam.
This is the program where we bring you Islam in the simplest of language. On this program, we have various segments lined up for your enjoyment.
And we start with starters.
On starters, we bring you tidbits about Islam, right? Is that?
How much do you know about Islam?
Okay, so we'll ask you questions, you give us answers, and we tell you the correct ones.
Okay, then we move to
You and I. You and I is the segment where we talk about your health, your mental health, your physical health, and everything in between, and ensure that we serve you what you need to know in the simplest way.
And finally, we'll be looking at the life and times of the Sahabiyas on trends.
Yes. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll serve you all of these and more. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The program is still Fragrance. On status today, we'll be talking about the name Muslims call God. On the streets, let's find out.
Allah, I think. Allah.
Allah.
How you say it? Allah. I think Allah.
Muslim. Yes. I'm not a Muslim.
Islam. Allah. Allah.
Okay, so there we have it.
It seems people know a lot about Islam.
And of course, it's a way of life.
Most of them got the
Most of them
questions
got the
right.
answer right. And of course, it's general. Allah, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is God. And that is the Arabic name, the
God.
most common one that is being used. Of course, there are different beautiful names of Allah. We have the 99 names of Allah.
Yeah, Haraman,
Ar-Rahim,
Al-Malik,
Al-Qudus,
As-Salam,
Al-Mumin,
Al-Mumin,
Al-Muhaymin,
Al-Aziz,
Al-Aziz, Al-Jabbar, Al-Mutakabbir,
Al-Wadud.
and it's so endless. Beautiful, beautiful names that you can pick from.
He's
And
a
you can
loving
supplicate to God with all of these names.
Exactly.
And you get what you're looking for. May Allah answer all of our requests.
Yeah. Now let's move on to the next segment, which is You and I.
This is the segment where we discuss issues relating to our lives in general. The program is still Fragrance, where we serve you Islam in the simplest of languages. On this segment today, we have Hajia Halima Adewi Olatunde to talk to us about managing mental health in marriage. And she's right here with me in the studio. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me.
We thank you for joining us. So let's hit the ground running. Tell
All right.
me, how do we manage mental health in marriages?
Okay. Before I talk about managing mental health in marriage, I would like to shed some light on what mental health is about.
Absolutely.
In a layman's language. Mental health has to do with the way you manage your thoughts so that it doesn't affect your feelings and your feelings thereby not affecting the way you show up. Your ability to manage irrational thoughts that comes to your mind and your ability to regulate your emotions, the way you feel and the way you behave in any circumstance you find yourself. So now if that is what mental health is about, then how do we manage our mental health in marriage? Because from day to day we interact with ourselves, especially in marriage. We live with our spouses, we live with our children. So there are some certain things that are going to trigger us. Again, there's something that we call triggers and trauma. From our childhood, some people have a bad childhood experience. their early childhood experience where they develop certain coping mechanisms that help them manage themselves while they grow up. So those coping mechanisms are the things, the way we show up, the way we try to defend ourselves, like defense mechanism that we've actually built for ourselves while we're growing up. So then in marriage, you're going to meet your spouse, someone you married that from a different background. Both of you have two different backgrounds. So there is tendencies that you're going to be triggered in that marriage, either as a man, as a woman. Your spouse is going to trigger you. They're going to do some certain things unconsciously, unintentionally, that would affect the way you feel about yourself. Then that would take you back to some certain things that happened to you while you were younger that helped you to bring up those coping mechanisms. Do you understand?
Okay.
So now, if you are not able to manage your mental health very well, if you are not able to catch your thoughts and understand that, okay, what is going on right now in my marriage is not what has happened to me when I was younger. It is not the trauma that I've actually experienced when I was younger.
Being able to differentiate.
Exactly. So
Separate
if you're
the
not
issues.
able to manage that very well, it's going to affect your thoughts. Thereby, your thoughts is going to affect the way you feel. And when it affects the way you feel, it's going to affect the way you show up, the way you relate with your spouse, the way you relate with your children, the way you relate with yourself as well. So that is what mental health is about, and the way it affects us in marriage, either as a man or as a woman.
So when does one start seeing the red flags when it comes to mental health in marriage?
Okay, there's something we call mental strength. Mental strength, your ability to manage the thoughts, irrespective of your circumstance, irrespective of where you find yourself, your ability to behave in the best way, your ability to control your emotions. Because apart from marriage, even at workplace, while you're in the bus, while you're coming, you meet people. People talk to you, people act to you in a particular way. You should be able to have that mental strength to be able to manage the situation. You would have people that are saucy.
Yeah.
You would have people that relate to you as though you are a child, as though you are, So you should be able to have that mental strength. So when you start noticing something affecting your thoughts, when you start noticing your thoughts, some thoughts coming to you irrationally. Let me give you an instance. For instance, let's say in the marriage, you start saying, why did I marry this guy? What was I looking at when I married this guy? Was I covered? Was my face covered as a man?
That's always happen about 10 years or 15 years into the marriage.
It's what happens to some people in the early stage of marriage.
Exactly.
You wake up a day or two after the I do, and you're like, subhanallah, how did I end up with this man? Why is he snoring?
A kind of self-evaluation.
Exactly. So those things, it doesn't just get to that stage where you start, especially in marriage, where you start asking yourself questions of, why did I fall in love with this person? What brought me to this stage? It starts with little thoughts that you are unable to catch, that you were unable to show some mental strength again while it was coming. Your ability to actually manage it then, so that it doesn't degenerate to you now questioning yourself about your spouse, having resentments towards each other, seeing each other and hating each other, saying, no, I don't want her, I don't even love her, I don't even love him anymore.
Okay. Looking at all of these explanations, so what is the way out? What would you suggest? How do we address it now?
Okay. So in marriage, communication is very, very key. In marriage, very, very key. Communication is like the blood of marriage. Just like we have a human being, you have blood running through our veins. If the blood stops, then the human being is as good as dead. So the same thing for communication. Communication is very, very key, because there are some times that your perspective, the way you see things, is different from the way your spouse sees things, and you not walking up to them and asking them, knowing what their perspective is, begin to affect the way you see them. Because that's something that has to do with your mental health. So communication in marriage is very, very key. Just like we have physical health, we are physically fit, mental strength. So I'm going to be putting it side by side. We have physical health, we are lively, we are well in our body. The same thing, we also have mental health. That is our mind. The mental health has to do with our mind, our physical health has to do with our body.
okay.
So you'd agree with me that we all have mental health.
Yes.
So we, doing acting in such a way and managing our mental health so that it does not degenerate. So having a mental health disorder. Just like for physical health, physical health, if you do not take care of your body very well, if you do not exercise regularly, if you do not go for checkups, if you do not take care of yourself, you may start having hypertension, you may have diabetes, you may have cancer. When we have cases like anxiety disorders, depression, mood disorders, that's where you see someone that is they have bipolar disorders. The person have mood swings. Today is so happy, is very, very happy, sweet. So the person comes to the office or meets people and she's smiling all day, and then after some minutes there's a switch, and you start asking yourself, is it not the same person that greets me with a smiling face?
Like a flip of a coin.
Exactly. So that's a disorder.
At that stage, the person is experiencing is the mental health disorder. So what's the way forward?
What's the approach? What do we do?
Okay, for us to have a mental strength, we need to, there's something that is called mindfulness. Mindfulness, you being present wherever you are. You are at a place. Let's say, for instance, as we are seated here, I should not be thinking about, my children at home, my husband at home, this
it happens.
That's mindfulness.
Almost every time.
Mindfulness, bringing your mind to the present where you are. When you get home, you are with your family. This is my family. You're not thinking about, my work, this, that. Mindfulness. And then there's something that is called self-care. Yes, self-care, taking care of yourself, taking care of your mind. And the way you care for your mind is like, we have instances like journaling. When you notice you are thinking about some certain things and you keep thinking about those things, you can actually start journaling, writing down your thoughts. When you write down your thoughts, you'll be able to see and identify which one is irrational. Then you'll be able to, ask yourself,
Write down. We can actually use our phones as well.
Exactly. You'll be able to say, this thought, is this thought true? Let me say, for instance, a thought that comes to you that says that your husband is not caring.
Okay.
No, that's a thought coming to you. Don't you see he did this? Don't you see he did that? Now you sitting down and journaling, is it true that he's not caring? Do I have evidence to back this up that he's not caring? What evidence do I have to negate this thought? That's a way to actually have a mental strength, taking care of our mental health. And then emotional regulation. I said mental health has to do with our emotions, our behavior, and our feelings. Your emotional regulation, being able to bring yourself to be calm at all times, irrespective of the circumstance you find yourself. Of course, we get angry.
Yeah.
Yes, we are sad.
Very deep.
There's nothing as negative emotions, because some people feel bad for feeling bad.
Okay.
And that's wrong. Mental strength does not mean that you're not going to feel bad. Mental strength does not mean that you're not going to be hungry. Mental strength
is just your ability to manage
it, yes, to regulate
every given time.
Exactly.
Be able to handle the
whatever
situation.
emotion you're going through, because every emotion is actually a call to action. It's telling you that something is wrong. You need to, take an action. You need to take a step. So emotional regulation, being able to regulate your emotion. There are instances where you can actually ask for some space. When you notice that you're getting hungry and you may act in a way that is unbefitting.
Rationally.
Exactly. So you can just, please, I need some space. Can you just give me some minutes? I need some space to breathe. You can actually excuse yourself.
Do we ever do that?
Having a me time.
Me time, yes. But
okay.
Well, men can really get some space. But women, do we really get space?
It is very, very important.
It's very hard to get space.
Even at that, but it is very important.
The children will come for you.
It is very important that you let the children know that mom needs a me time. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day, every day. A time for yourself. A time for you to sit down with your thoughts. A time for you to sit down with yourself to reflect. A time for you to think about the things that you want. Okay, what are the things that I want? What have I been able to achieve today? What are the things that are disturbing me? Okay, why? Why did I feel this way in the office? Why did I feel this way?
Why did I snap?
Exactly. So you need a me time. Every woman. Because if you're not mentally strong, if you do not show up you won't be able to show up very well in your marriage. It's going to affect the way you relate with your children, and then you hear the children saying, "Mom does not like us."
Mommy is nagging.
Yes, mommy nags.
Why is
and
mommy
then
always shouting?
exactly, and then your husband would also say, "Oh, you're always moody. I don't like this face. You are not welcome."
And even
and
with
stuff like
other
that.
people within the society.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
They would say, "I don't like that particular lady."
Okay. So let's wrap it all up now. We have x-rayed the entire topic. We have looked at the pros and cons. So what will be your final word for people in marriage? Husbands, wives?
Okay, my final words for people in marriage is that they should, for husband and wives,
Yes.
they should take time to ask the other person, how has your day been?
Okay.
You know, check with your partner to
Have a
know
connection.
exactly, to know how your partner is during that day, to be able to discuss vulnerability.
Okay.
Be vulnerable with your partner, and take in cognizance communication. It is very important that you take communication as something very, very important in marriage.
Okay.
And then you communicate with people around you, even your children. The idea of saying that women don't usually have a me time, it has to do with the way you communicate with your children. Please give mommy 5 minutes, even if it has to do with you telling them to go to grandma's place or to go to auntie's place, or just taking some time out for yourself, just for yourself, to think, to reflect. It's going to affect, it's going to go a long
Oh
way.
wow. So the bottom line is we'll definitely have to bring you back.
Yeah.
You'll have to give us better expose as
We need to
far as
exhaust
we
the
need
topic.
to yes, we need
Yeah.
to further x-ray this topic, as in it's really huge,
Yes,
really
it is,
wide.
yes, it
So
is.
Halima, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you
We're
very much
happy
for
to have
having
you.
me. You were handsome for
Okay, so it's been our guest Halima Adewi Olatunde telling us about managing our mental health in marriage. It is important that you and I ensure that we are mentally stable to have a fantastic lifestyle and have a wonderful time with our family, at our places of work, with our people we meet every day. We're supposed to be happy people, sharing the fragrance of love, sharing the fragrance of happiness, because women are the fragrance of life. We'll take a quick break now and we'll be right back. Don't go away.
You're welcome back, and it's Trends on Fragrance. We'll be talking about the life and times of the Sahabiyas, the unique personalities in Islam. And today we'll be taking a look at the life and times of Aisha bint Abu Bakr. She's Aisha. Okay, let's get to know the Aisha in Islam. Bismillah.
That Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam radiyallahu anhu says, he says, I've never known someone more knowledgeable than her in a verse of the Quran. Nobody could come close. Nor in the laws of inheritance, nor in any practice of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which we today call the Sunnah, nor in poetry, nor in narrations and knowing exactly who uttered what and when they said it in the presence of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as well as historical events that occurred, and at the same time laws and regulations that were passed. I knew no one who knew more than her, so much so that she was the most knowledgeable of us, even in medicine, until she became known as the most knowledgeable from amongst all the women. She knew absolutely everything. She only lived with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam for 8 years and 5 months. That's it. The greatest in honor and rank, the one whom the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam declared that he loved her the most, none other than Aisha binti Abi Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anha, who is known as Ummul Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers radiyallahu anha. As a young person, she would be able to memorize, live in the company of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam much longer. She lived in his home. She was the most loved by him, a woman whom the bulk of the deen has come to us through her. She was the one who narrated the most hadith without a dispute from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from amongst the women. She knew much more than anyone else because she lived with him as a spouse. Certain things that only she knew, how he lived and how he was intimate with his own family members and so on, only she knew. She relayed it to us. pink cheeks, and she was pink in color, and she blushed very quickly, and he used to tease her by calling her Humayra, and he used to make her laugh, and he used to make her blush when he used to drink. And this was narrated to us, subhanallah, by Aisha radiallahu anha. When he used to drink from the utensil, he made sure that she drank, and then he looked for the position where her lips were, and he drank from the same place whilst watching her blush, subhanallah. She ate from a piece of meat, he would make sure that he let her eat, then he would take it from her and look for the place where she bit, and whilst looking at her would bite from the same place, making her blush. Radiyallahu anha. How can we say a word against her? Aisha radiallahu anha, the greatest of the women, the one from paradise, the one whom Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved the most, Aisha radiallahu anha.
You're welcome back, and that is very informative. Now let's talk about Aisha.
Deep. Aisha.
Yeah.
Aisha bint Abu Bakr. First and foremost, this is important to state clearly. Aisha was a very intelligent lady. She was the youngest wife of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and she was unique in her ways. Intelligent, smart.
When you talk about brain and beauty,
Absolutely,
Yeah,
all
that's
encompassing. Watch, if you meet anybody bearing that name, it's always like that. We are always
to hype
unique.
yourself.
Of course, I'm doffing my hat for myself. It's not easy.
But that's true, that's a
not
fact.
easy.
Because when you talk about Aisha in Islam, she was an Hafiz,
Yeah.
and also she memorized the hadith, about 2,000
2,210.
hadiths of,
Yes, of the Prophet.
And the scholars at that time sought for guidance when it
Yes.
comes to Islamic
She was a force
jurisprudence.
to reckon with.
Yeah.
When they are at loss or at a loss as per what to do or what next to do after the death of the Prophet, they walk up to her for guidance, and she was always there. She was a force in Islam.
She was a very vibrant person in Islam.
I remember when she was still very young, a particular one that I read, and the Prophet went to her father's house, that's Abu Bakr, and she was playing with a horse. This particular horse she was playing with, a toy, had wings. So the Prophet was like, what's that? And she was like, oh, it's a horse. And the Prophet was like, oh, but horses don't have wings. And she reminded the Prophet that Prophet Sulaiman
Alayhi salatu wassalam.
used to use horses with wings. Is that not intelligent for a small child?
Very
She was
intelligent.
always sure of herself. So the bottom line is she knew what she was up to, she knew what she was up against, and she was always ready to deliver.
Aside from that, we should talk about how caring and generous she is.
She's a very loving
You
human
can't, from what I've read about her, you can't go to her house hungry and you won't leave
Or even
full.
go to her house sad and live the same way you went there. No.
Yeah.
She'll make sure she puts a smile on your face.
Exactly. And that's one thing about Aisha we all should
The peace and
emulate.
blessings of Allah be upon her.
Amen. And every one of us.
Okay, and not to forget, even in the present day Muslim society, Muslim world, she's still relevant, because we're talking about who she was then and who she is right now. She's
Exactly.
still a force to reckon with. And there is no way you talk about Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and you talk about Islam and you will not mention Aisha.
Yeah, that's true.
He married her after the death of Khadija. Yeah, I remember that. So, okay, so there you have it. Aisha bint Abu Bakr, her life and times, who she was, what she did in Islam, and how much she's relevant in Islam
Present day.
then and now. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and that's it on the show for today. We thank you so much for watching Fragrance, and of course keep a date with us next week for another exciting package.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles. We want to hear your views on what you think about the program.
That is very important. So, ma salam.